Well, uh, as you'll no doubt have gathered from the title of this video, the acceleration came to an abrupt halt when I just offhand, I was looking at Notepad and looking at that status bar, and you can have a status bar. Why can't I have a status bar? But I'm not gonna look into that. There are more important things to do than worry about a stupid little status bar. And anyway, it's probably a customized something, right? But I kept thinking about it, and you can sort of see my history by looking at my history. See, okay, we're at the acceleration stage, and now I went and I figured this out. I didn't. This wasn't actually helpful, but I managed to make a file association for my special file type. Okay, change the text to make sure it was different, and the only changes I made were in current user. So therefore, I could make this association from an installer and not have to ask that stupid question. Please give me full access to your system. Thank you very much, because I want to install a text editor. Okay, that happened, and that was so great. Now we're doing great with that. Installer should be nothing in the status bar, and then I did a Google search, and luckily, should have been luckily for me, I landed up here, and I started reading this check answer, create window, child window. Okay, so it's nothing like, there's nothing special about it, obviously. Look, the answer has to do with create window procedures and all that stuff. So it's a customized thing, right? Back to the history. Then, but it's stuck on my mind, and I clicked on another thing, and then I went to this, right? And I ran Notepad. Let me just reproduce that in real time for you. My old friend SpyXX. I'm expecting to find that this status bar is going to say something like Notepad special customized status bar thing. But look, it's a standard control. It's a standard control. So therefore, now I've got to add a TS status bar to my list of controls to make, right? And look at the properties, and okay, here are the styles. And one of the things here, in the window styles, that I found confusing was what's this ES right scroll bar all about? This I understood that the class style has no H redraw, and that should be obvious to you why there's no H redraw. Because it doesn't, it's horizontal. Its height never changes, right? It's a fixed height thing, so it's never going to receive a change in height. So it's not going to receive any notification for that. It doesn't need to redraw itself in that case, if the case doesn't occur. Now, general. I can see that the client rect is equal to the rect, and its height is 23. And that's got to be true for every single status bar. The width is just the width of the thing. There's no subclassing going on here. That must be like def static bar proc, right? Just like def PLG proc. Styles, nothing visible. So then I started to look at it. And it always takes a long time when these stupid little things, you think it's easy, and then you go and you check, okay, alright, what does Microsoft say? Status bar. How do you use a status bar? Blah, blah, blah. No, first there was this, but there's a function that you don't have to call this. There's a function that does it all auto-magically. What is that function? It's called create status bar. Yeah, here, create status window. See, it's obsolete, but whatever. I don't know what they mean by obsolete. It's there. What's obsolete about it? Works. I ran the function. Well, for a while, of course, I was doing it wrong, and it didn't work. But eventually, I figured out what I was doing wrong, and that is the status window. Unlike exactly like every other child window, it's created with it. It says that you have to create with a child. They're very emphatic about it. But you have to make sure. Hang on, let me pause this and find that other thing. I think I must have been staring right at it. Anyway, here's that function, create status window. One of the things it takes is style. And must include child and should include visible. Otherwise, you could say, maybe you could make it hidden and then make it visible later. Which is probably what Notepad does. Bastard. Notepad. If it didn't have this bar here, I wouldn't have had any trouble. And then it takes a string as well. That specifies the status text for the first part. Now, what do you mean? What do you mean? The first part of what? Handle went to parent and an ID, a control ID. So, maybe you can, in the resource editor, you can drop one of these on one of your windows as a control. Okay. And this thing gives you an HRENT back. And then, in order to change the text of the status bar, which of course failed initially, you simply call this simple function. Draw status text, HDC, the handle to the display context for the window. Okay. Which one? I don't see anything in Windows. Okay. Here it says window with borders. So first I had it right, and I got the device context for the window corresponding to the status bar, and I didn't realize I had it right, and I thought I had it wrong, and then I used the device context for the main window of the program, and eventually I realized it was working. What I did was, I couldn't see it, right? So, and I had carefully positioned it at the bottom, minus 23 pixels, the magic 23. And I was even shrinking the rect of the edit control. But what I wasn't doing was positioning the status bar in the correct spot. And then eventually, all right, wrong. It's amazing how quickly one forgets the sequence of events. Anyway, that wasn't what I was doing wrong. And what I eventually found out, and I'll clip out all the rest, probably most of the rest. See how this is how I do the clipping. So I started out with this, and everything was almost okay up to here. And then I split that at 1 to something, right? 0 to this, and then I clicked out something that was irrelevant or wrong. And then now I've split this one, the snipped part, into these two, from 0 to this. And here's where I'm adding this new correction. This is the end section. See? This is the sum of these two. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole video and keep dividing and turning this into a great big reconstruction project. What I was doing wrong. What was I doing wrong? It's too bad because the text that I had specified for what they call for the first part of the status bar was showing up here, right? Then I was trying to draw some text, and I specified a rectangle correctly in inclined coordinates for the status bar. That means that the text that I was writing out would have started writing here, okay? But I had already specified some text to go here, and so therefore what I put in got eventually overwritten, and I never saw it. What I did eventually was I changed the size of the rectangle, right, where I wanted to draw, and then I saw it, my text, up in the middle here somewhere. The status bar was this great big thing, and I shrunk it down, and I realized, oh, I see. Because you can just say set window text, and that also sets text here. So actually this part contains the caption, I suppose, right? It has a caption. So like any window, it has a caption. This one doesn't, but mine does. If you want it. It has a caption, and then there's the rest of the window, right? That's what they mean by the other part. Here, see, that's the caption, and this is the rest. It turns out, anyway, that this isn't a window. I don't know with 100% certainty that the rest part isn't still part of the caption. I never tried get window text. It might be. But see, this here text, I'm going to try it. Just set window text to something. How can I do that? See, I'm doing this, and I wanted to prove that I can find the position of the cursor, right, for anything. Now, this leads to something else. But I'm curious right now, just like this text, how am I writing that text? That text was, and was only ever written once. I mean, specified anyway. It might be in some buffer somewhere. status bar stat, right? When I created it, so that would have been the caption, right? Now if I do set window text, this gets overwritten. In order to draw the rest of that text, I have a function. I wrote a wrapper around their thing, so I don't have to specify anything, called just like drawing the title bar, so it's in that category. So they set title bar and set status bar text. It could be called set status. I can either add, I should add the word text. All I'm doing here is calling their special function set status text, which takes a rectangle. Now this rectangle is closer to the right than to the left, and there are two possibilities. One, it's taking this text as I've specified and including the current Windows text, the caption, including this with the caption, or the caption is something that doesn't change. The rest, this part, say, is another subsection which is not part of the caption. Actually, Spy should tell us. We need to call function. Spy will show us if the caption is the entire text, or just status bar stat. The caption ends here. Okay. So this here text, although I don't need to keep drawing it, it may be drawing it. It's definitely put a little sunken it a bit. So what I think this here might be is a static control, maybe. No, there are no children here. So where does one see it here? It's not, right? It's not part of the Windows structure. It's somewhere in the system, perhaps pointed out by this in some way, is some allocated memory for this string, and as for the bar, that's just one of the things to do with its style. It has style. It's status bar. I read something about it in the hint. The hint file gave some hints. You can make it something more sunken or have a more 3D look or something like that. I think that there's only one section you can draw. Okay, no borders or pop out. So let's try this pop out. Draw highlighted borders. Make the text stand up. Do that. See these things changing? This is not redrawn properly. I'm actually going to blame the recorder for that. Now this is an insert, but it'll probably be just the end of this video. I will take this class, this common control, and turn it into a TS control. Although I don't think it's used for dialogue mainly. So it shouldn't expect that. Now I see. So now this one's taken the second part and raised it. Now if I move this over, it might look, or centered it might look decent, but right now that looks terrible. The resizing you have to do manually, like with anything else. But it's just a window, and that's its caption. If you want, you can change the caption. What does Notepad say? Nothing. This says nothing. This says ready. Ready's a big thing. What can you put on a... And they say LM common call. Let's see how that goes. First, this is terrible. Notepad. Notepad got the bar. It looks a little bit nicer. LM and then the X coordinate. LN, right? Percent D, comma, space. It's like this. It's capital COL and then another number. Oops. Line. Column is F. Line is line number. Right. Now, what about for the other thing, I'll just use set window text just to show you. We have its H1 somewhere right here. Oh, I'm using it. I don't know if that. We can do that first. Before grabbing the device context. Set window text of thing to ready. That sounds cool. No, that won't show. I could do it. It's better to do it after. I won't do it after. And I want all of this to complete. Device context released and everything. And then, following that, I'm going to do set window text to ready, and that shouldn't have any effect on the other part. Going to theory. But you can work with those two things separately, as seems to be the norm. This here part is sort of the title for the rest, I guess. I don't know. Trying to think of it. See? Oh, maybe. No. That wiped out all of the text. Let's see. Now if I did that beforehand, it shouldn't. It'll wipe it out and then it'll get, this part will get replaced. So that's why you've got to call this instead of set window text. Because set window text wipes everything out. Right? But this only draws part of it. Or, sorry. This just does like WM Paint. See? No, this is just like Notepad. Okay, Notepad's not as cool as you thought. Okay, I can be just as cool as Notepad. One thing I can give you as a hint in your quest, if you're still looking, if you're trying to figure out how I'm doing this seemingly impossible task of determining the cursor position, is this. Notice how it's not changing? Okay, that's hint A. Here's hint B. Notice how it's changing? These are your two hints. Now, one of the things you could always do in order to determine things like that is to subclass the edit window, right? And I didn't want to do that, and I don't use that for the purpose of determining the numbers. I use just the interface, but unfortunately, there's no notification corresponding to things like me moving the cursor around. I don't know when to draw it. I was thinking of using a timer, right, and then drawing something up here. But that sounds silly. Finally, I bit the bullet, and I just subclassed the edit control for the sole purpose of knowing when to draw this status text, right? And the condition I use here's the full functionality of my subclass thing. The first one, user plus 2b, is what I want. I want to have this. No, I think I tried it. I certainly tried the draw status text function in here. Didn't work. After set title bar, I tried it. Set status text, that didn't work. You can't do it during the WM create for some reason or other. So if you want to do something immediately following WM create, the trick is you just post yourself a message in the perfectly safe and totally reserved for you. Oh, it's not. Area. Post one of those messages and hope to hell it doesn't collide with something that's being used by the system. And then you do your thing there. Basically, well, I'm going to pause this and I'm going to find it for you. There's something to do with this common DLG32 library, and I think they probably think that they're okay to do what they're doing because it's not because it's a special add-on. Never mind. I thought I got that WM user confused with WM app. So actually, I hope that's the one I'm using normally. I hope I have a function that supposedly gets you a message number that is definitely 100% for sure not in use. And that's in here. What do I return? WM app. No, it was WM app. Actually, something was using WM app, I think. But maybe not. I'll double check. I added two to this anyway, just in case. I thought I had read that some of these common control implementations use WMAP plus 1 and WMAP plus 0. However, I may have been mistaken. I might have been. It might have said user. User is okay. User is reserved for, like it says in this article, private window classes. So within the scope of your window class, the messages that may be received by your window class, you can use these at your will, right? Another application in attempting to communicate with your class can also use those same messages for itself, right? But those messages would have meaning in their context, and the meaning would be different. In the message loop, in a message loop in general, message loop defined in here, I think. No, defined here. A message loop. This here is an H-wind. I don't think the hint file will tell us. Yeah, perfect. It's exactly what I wanted to see. How come you can't do that on its own? Anyway, never mind. Second parameter is an H-wind, right? Now you would think that if you're doing a message loop for your window, you should only specify that you want messages from just for your window, right? But that's not the way one does it. Usually 0 is placed here, meaning I want all messages that are coming into my process, right? So null value has a special meaning. These messages for any window that belongs to the calling thread. And okay, so for my thread, and thread messages posted to the calling thread, right? So null means all messages pertaining to my thread. And then there's a range. You can limit the range. So therefore, the H-wind associated with the message, which is actually in this struct, right? Could be for your main window, could be for a button in a dialog, could be for all of the various windows in your process. And those windows can use, the classes that those windows are built from can define WMAP in any way they like. They can use them up however they like. And there won't be any collision because those are only for messages that are intended for those window handles within those classes. WMAP, on the other hand, are globally reserved to mean nothing, to have no meaning. According to this table, these are special messages that are throughout the system guaranteed to have no meaning whatsoever. You can be 100% certain that if you post a WMAP message, well, I don't know how much different it really is than this. because usually you know what panel of the window you're using. But anyway, these will not have, no process should use WM app messages, even in their private world, and expect you to send those messages to it. Think of it that way. Like one of the examples given here is user +1 means set data for a status control. There you go. That's probably where I read it. Okay, so if you want to set the status data, you send it a WM user +1, right? And that's fine. It hasn't eaten up the value of user +1. Another window could still use that value for a specific purpose, and everything's fine. But none of them will ever use any of these. So if you see a W1 app message going into a window, you can be sure that it's just a random number. There's no information to be gained from that. Alright, that's it. Now I'm going to just add the control and finish up the rest of the things. One thing I mentioned that will be cut out of the rest, I guess, is that I figured out how to do this. You will note that this type note is associated with a program, my program, and only my program, it turns out. If you ask for suggestions, it will only give one, right? If you ask for suggestions for this type of document, it is given as a suggestion for a text file. So therefore, it's registered with the system as being intended for a text document. It is registered as being specific to this particular extension. And I did all of that without ever having to use a global resource. That is, everything, all the changes I made were in something current user something. So that means that all of that association can be user specific, and again, once again, administrator access is not required to install a program and have an association. If you wanted to associate this with this type, that might involve, having to that would involve administrator. Well, maybe not. It might not involve administrator rights, because that's also a personal choice, right? I personally want text files to be, I could choose that as the default for text. It's offered, right? Recommended even. Sorry. This is a now, I don't know why this gets recommended first, but it's because they own the place, doesn't mean they have to go first. But yeah. No administrator, anything was required in order to get this into this list and to make these file associations. So that's something that you should know. I don't recall exactly how I did it, but I saved off the registry keys and hopefully I can reconstruct it. Okay, see you later.